What's up, guys? Welcome back to the For Your Period podcast.
We are here. And if you can't tell, we are completely in different phases of our cycle.
If you're watching the video, just do a guess. Do your best college guess at what phase we're
And if you're watching, close your eyes and not see me bounce around in my chair and act cutesy. And Alex is looking like, bitch, why are we here?
Let's give our topic. We almost just canceled this because I'm clearly not want to do anything because my period, which she'll be arriving any day now.
And I love it because I am like on my way into ovulatory. And so I'm super accommodating. And I'm like, okay, we shouldn't record today. Let's just wait until next week. And Alex has no filter and zero fucks left to give. And she's like, this is how I am right now. This is how I'm showing up. This is real. So fucking press record. Like,
This is the beauty of understanding and finally acknowledging and not trying to hide who you are. Because
mm,
that's exhausting, women. When we're out here trying to pretend all the time
mhm,
that we're not feeling what we're actually feeling. And this is why women have such high levels of stress related disorders, so much more than men, is because they cannot, if you are not understanding your menstrual cycle, if you're not understanding that ancient wisdom and that ancient blueprint, you are living against it. And that is so uncomfortable to be living
mm,
against the way your body wants you to move through the world, that women live from the collarbones up,
mm.
right? Like they're because to sink into what your body's experiencing is too painful when you're not allowing yourself to be honest, when you're not tending to your physical body, when you are not doing the things that you need. That's really uncomfortable for your mind to know that. So it just severs the connect, like the communication is just gone, and women are living in their heads. They're living anxious, they're living with stress related disorders. So you can think that you're not getting impacted by your menstrual cycle, bitch, and you still are getting
You
impacted by
are.
your menstrual cycle.
Oh my gosh, you are. And again, like women have the highest rates of autoimmune disease, and it's because we swallow shit and smile. We eat shit all day long and we smile about it. We don't speak up because we're taught to be nice, we're taught to be accommodating, and we're taught to. I just saw this post about micro pains and how childbirth is easier for women than would ever be for men because we experience micro pains every single day of our lives. So we're like, it's like boot camp every day. So when labor comes, it's like, oh shit, like this is just a Wednesday.
I tell you, I was relieved when I got to the pushing, and I was like, no one told me that was gonna be relieving compared to all this shit that came before it.
Yes.
I was
Because
like,
all
I
you
was the most
see,
terrified of
yes,
that
all you
part.
see on TV is the women screaming and, doing all of that. And that was the biggest relief. It was like taking the biggest dump I'd ever taken in my
Literally, I was like,
life.
oh, thank God, get this out of me. I was so
Yes.
happy.
And we could mirror that to your period, right? Like leading up to your period, I've always described my late luteal phase as this ginormous water balloon that just keeps getting filled up, and I can just feel the weight of it hanging in my abdomen.
We just learned the word for that, Anna. This is a real thing. I always
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thought like I was crazy. What's the word for that? The ischemia.
Yes, ischemia. Yes, it's dying
So
when your blood
yes,
vessels. Yeah,
your body's not like your organ is killing itself off, like the shedding the lining, literally cutting the nerve, like whatever I have no
the
words
blood
left.
vessels. Yes.
The blood vessels, it literally starts cutting them off around day 24 when your body knows you're not pregnant, when the progesterone and estrogen drop, then you literally for the next 4 days have something start dying off inside of you before it starts shedding. So of course it feels heavy and shit. Yes, so I feel the same way. Like when I finally get to my period, the part that I was taught to be so afraid of is actually relieving.
It's relieving. And when your period comes and y'all that period poop, I mean,
Relieving.
it's
Clear it
like
out. Clear. Who needs a juice cleanse? Austin was literally like, you're never doing a juice cleanse again. We like your period is
just
your
wait
juice
till day
cleanse.
one.
And it was like, that's so true. It just clears you out.
and the relief of it. And if you've optimized your phases and your hormones, like your period is not painful. It may be discomfort, uncomfortable, but like the cramping should feel like a little squeeze. It should not be pain. And I was talking to a woman the other day, like the only other there's no other place on our body that we would feel pain and say, it's because you're a woman, or because you're a man. Like if once a month for 5 days your toe had excruciating pain that kept you from going to work, you would go to the doctor and they would treat you with a disease or a condition. Pain is a signal that
It's
something
just
is
like
wrong.
in America, it's just the signal that you're a woman and you
Yes.
should just,
And Eve ate an apple, so sorry.
you're fucked forever.
Yeah.
It doesn't have, like, literally, that doesn't make sense. None of that makes sense. None of that
It's
makes sense.
infuriating because they don't treat men this way. They just don't. And I know a lot of us, or a lot of, not us anymore, but you just want your period to not happen. You just want to not have to deal with it. But y'all, I promise, having your period is your report card. It lets you know the condition of your body. It's like getting your oil checked or having a tune up or whatever. It lets you know how the machine is running. And to know that, like in perimenopause, a lot of women's bone density drops up to like 20%.
We start losing it in our third, when we turn 30, like the year of 30, you start losing, I'm already losing bone density over here.
Yes. Yes.
Already on the downcline, on decline.
And there's no doctor that would, if a man all of a sudden was 20% less dense, would be like, take some calcium. And it's just because you're an old man.
For those of us at home, maybe even me right now in this moment, what is the biggest implications of loss of bone density?
Oh, girl, let me look
I,
that up.
I think what I think it is, I think it's like when your bones are less dense, if any kind of impact, then they make them more likely to break, right? So
Well,
like
definitely,
osteoporosis,
yes.
yeah. So like it's just like you're gonna have more. So yeah, that's why older women deal with osteoporosis, and I don't really even think it's because of the lack of estrogen as much as it is the lack of weight training, because we tell women not to get fucking bulky, to not, oh, you
Yeah,
don't want to be gross, so you better be weak and have your bones fracture all the time. It's just like
yes. And
this
let's do some burpees and run around all the time and just get super duper skinny instead of super duper strong. And so I love our pivot right now because as soon as you hit 30, this a clock does start ticking. It just does. It just does. And if you're not feeding and moving and caring for your body in a certain way, your 40s are going to suck. They're going to suck. You're going to have time
that's the
and
post,
money,
Anna,
and
right
you're
now.
gonna
That's the swipe post. Start that bitch. Listen, if you don't start this now,
listen. Yes, and it doesn't have to. When you see these women who are like 50 something and they're just radiant and glowing and, chopping wood and carrying water and out in the sun and living their best lives, they have loved on themselves properly so that they can enjoy this time of maybe kids being out of the house, extra money in your savings, maybe retirement from work. You're not laid up in the bed like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory's grandparents and looking like the Golden Girls who were like in their 50s. You are out and about, and because
I mean,
I still feel like I'm like in my 20s in my mind. But y'all, listen, we are at the park. We have this big, ginormous tree house in our neighborhood. It's ridiculous. Treehouse Masters built it. It's fabulous. And my daughter is at the top rung of this thing. And I'm down talking to another mom, and I hear a smack, and she starts screaming. And so I try to jump up from where I'm sitting to get to her. And in my mind, I moved a lot faster, and I was just going to go from 0 to 100 because that's my child.
be the mom status.
But y'all, my back and my knees and my belly said, bitch, hold up. You not there. And when I tell you I hurt my whole body just trying to get up and rush to my child, and she was fine. She feels the feelings deeply. She was fine. She scraped her knee. She was fine. I didn't know that though. And my main takeaway was that I couldn't save my child if I needed to because my muscles weren't strong enough. It's making me a little emotional because I don't want you 30 somethings to be training for Miss Fitness America or for some bikini contest or getting your summer body ready. I want you to have your save your kid body ready. I want you to have your fix the tire on the side of the road body. I want you to have the oops, I slipped, I can get right back up body. Like that's what you should be training for right now because I mean, this is functional. This is real life things that your body should be able to do. Yes, if you slip, you should be able to hop right back up. And I couldn't do that. And y'all, I was sore and icing and putting creams and stuff on my body for a week after I didn't fall. I was just trying to save my child.
Treehouse. You think I had the tree?
Yes. And then on the opposite side of that, my husband, who is Mr. Fitness America, who does lift and care for his body and move and sleep, and he does the things, and he has done them for decades. He's not just starting now, was in a horrendous bus crash about 8 years ago and was able to, the bus is like 360 rolling, and he was able to stabilize his body through a rolling bus and came
He was
out
standing
with
up,
standing
right? You
up,
said
straddling the aisle and holding on to each side of the chairs while things and people are flying around him and came out of it with just whatever hit him, like the scrapes and the scratches. His watch broke off of his wrist, like the band snapped. And like I pictured like the Incredible Hulk, like everything just ripping off because his muscles were flexing. But I'm a little obsessed with him and his muscles. But y'all, had he not been in better shape, he would not have been able to sustain this impact and to support his body. And I know everybody's not going to be in a crazy bus crash, but seriously, your kid's going to fall or going to run out in traffic, or your shopping cart is going to roll into an aisle and you're going to have to stop it from hitting somebody's cyber truck or whatever. Like,
let it
but
hit
yeah,
the Cybertruck.
I just don't know if your insurance can cover someone's cyber truck, but seriously, like we should be able to do these things without pain and without injury and with ease because it's just living your life.
I watched the Blue Zones documentary and I was getting schooled by this 100-year-old Mexican man who is roping cattle still, and I was like, could it be me now? What? Dude's
Fabulous.
100 years old, and he's just like, is what it is, bitch. She's just
Girl,
like,
that documentary made me want to get rid of my couches. I'm like, oh, they squatting all day long. They squat
I'm
to
just gonna sit in
eat.
a yogic
Yes.
squat all the time.
I will sit on the floor because I have to get up. And I saw, someone was comparing burpees. Why burpees, I mean, we don't have to do extreme jumping burpees, but they train you for getting up off the floor. Like when you fall, it's training your body to have that muscle memory to get up off the floor or to
Oh
catch
my
yourself from
gosh.
falling. Yes. So even if
Okay,
you're not,
I may have to reconsider my burpee ban
yes.
when it comes
Well,
to like my longevity play. That's
yes. And you don't have to
yeah.
do the big jump at the end, or it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be super intense. But if you can get yourself down on the flat on your stomach and push yourself back up and then stand up and do that repeatedly, that muscle memory is going to be there. And the strength to do
Mm,
it is going to be there.
so smart. So smart. Yeah, so this is what we're going to keep talking about on the podcast. We're going to keep talking about everything on the podcast. We're really going to really create a lot of conversation around honestly the things that you're learning, Anna, and like the stuff you wish you would have learned earlier. Thank you. So, thank you for me
You're
personally.
so welcome. You're so welcome. And you and I were talking about this the other day. It is not taxing for me because this is
Mm.
the chapter of my life that I'm in. I'm not in the hot girl, be outside, find a man to put a baby in me stage. I'm in the impart my wisdom, sit in a yogic squat on the ground and tell the younger generation what you should be doing.
We need to make that like the because it's not the crone yet, right? But it's
It's the
like the put it
pre-crone.
the pre-crone situation.
Yeah.
We need some new imagery, I think, to go with like the girl who's just trying to get a baby put in her, the pre-crone that needs its own name, its own special. Maybe you would call it kind of like the auntie phase, right? It's like it's
Yes.
pre-grandma phase. It's the auntie phase, but it's not in the put a baby in me phase, right? Like it's kind of yeah, like the
I
three
like that.
steps of our adult womanhood.
Yeah.
Um, and then the calling back to the crone. And what's really interesting is what I've heard is like when it goes well, women really have a rebound in their hormones post menopause that they land at a place that's honestly more hormonally similar to men. Like testosterone doesn't drop as much as some of the other hormones.
Hmm.
And it's really like that wisdom, but like your energy should come back up. It's and they call it second spring. And there's a lot of places all over the world that celebrate it as this like real rich time in women in a woman's life rather than how we treat women in America. We're just like, you old hag, go sit over there.
Go knit something and bake some cookies, bitch.
Be hot. I'm gonna be hot when I'm 50. I'm like, I'm still hot. 50, still hot. Like what?
Still
What?
hot.
I'm not gonna just like have a short Karen Bob and like only knit. What? I'm gonna be out.
No,
I'm gonna be outside when
you
I'm
could be
pushing menopause.
outside.
So Anna is really solidly in the anti phase.
I
And
am.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see like how we keep the conversation going. And I have this weird this is really kind of behind how the sausage is made. But I posted something about it on TikTok, and a couple other women were like, "How can I help? No one helped me, and I just have so much information that I wish
Mm.
some." So I think there's a lot of other people feeling like
Ooh.
you are like, "How do we?" And so that was something that was coming up maybe I don't know when, maybe yesterday, but like when we're looking at how we eventually build out our community space, really intentionally, like almost like you get paired with somebody who's I
I
don't
love
know,
it.
some kind of there's something brewing here, y'all. We are seeing us work it out in real time,
Yeah.
but like some kind of way to connect the auntie group with the put a baby in me group, like on purpose.
And it's so spirit filling. I don't know. You and I were just at an event with other women, and my spirit was like calling out to the 30 somethings. Like I have a message. And
Every time.
and there was a 30 something there that was like, I was looking for an older woman who, and y'all, the first time I was called an auntie, I was shocked and appalled. I clasped my pearls. I text in my group chat of all of my friends who were all the same age and was like, I just got called an auntie. It was like 3 years ago. I was bothered beyond
Were they all
belief.
scandalized? Were they all scandalized
Oh,
with
yes.
you?
They were ready to come where I was at and to fight this bitch that called me an auntie. Because I'm the youngest of our friend group. So if I'm an auntie, they definitely an auntie.
They're like,
And
not ready.
it's
I am not ready for that. I will not
no,
take that.
it went upside my head. And so I don't think I was perimenopausal yet. And so now I'm fully in it. And I'm like, I'll be that. I will be the auntie. And it's calling me to the mother-in-law, like the archetypal
Mm.
mother-in-law, how she's in your business and she's telling you what to do, and she's this is what her spirit is calling her to do, to impart her wisdom. And if she knew that, and if she was able to tap in and remember, if she was embodied at 30, at 50, she knows what a 30-year-old needs. And I think that's the
Yeah.
disconnect with our mothers in laws. Not mine. Mine is fabulous. I love her. She knows how to relate to me and we're good. But the stereotypical mother-in-law who
Yeah.
crosses boundaries and is abrasive, she probably wasn't embodied in her 30s. So you're sitting here in your 30s getting advice from somebody who wasn't really connected to herself in her 30s. So it's coming across, the delivery is poor. The intention is pure, delivery is poor.
Yeah, it almost comes across Well, like if they weren't connected to what they really need, they're giving you bad advice, and then you feel
Yes.
gaslit because you're
And
like, that's
judged
clearly
and
not advice that I would follow because that doesn't make sense. And if she could be honest, she's like, yeah, it didn't really work for me either, but I didn't know what else to do. But none
yeah.
of us have that language. We're not being freaking honest about anything. And so it just kind of comes out, it comes out sideways and like,
And yes, and in your 50s, your spirit is calling you to draw these women in, but you don't have the tools to do it. So you're doing it
no.
all haphazardly and running ripshod through people and ruining
What that
relationships.
also reminds me of is the luteal phase. Is like how the luteal
Mm,
phase, when I didn't like it, it was my least favorite phase. And I
yeah.
was like, I'm such a bitch. I'm so mean in the luteal phase. And sometimes now I'm like, I am kind of a bitch in the luteal phase, but she will speak truth right to
She
power. Like
will.
the luteal,
She will.
when I have a different relationship with the luteal phase, it doesn't feel as scratchy. And
Mm,
so I wonder like how that, because like people say perimenopause can kind of be like a long luteal phase. So if you are disembodied in your luteal phase in your 30s and you can't sit with yourself and you have a hard time with the shadow work comes up, your shadow self comes up in the luteal phase,
she does.
right? So if you don't know how to work with her and meet her, that can be a really rough decade.
It is, and it's rough for everybody. There's a lot of collateral damage. We all, I'm sure, have experienced rough luteal phases where you're just like, your words are bullets and anyone can get it. Yes. I call my tongue Zorro. Like, I don't know if that's aging me. I don't know if you know who Zorro is, Alex, but
I do know,
okay.
yeah. So
But it's like, you go get it. Anyone can get it. And
ooh, that's how I
yeah,
feel too sometimes.
yeah. Um, but again, we need these phases. We need to honor each one, each version of ourselves, because that's the
Has the
only,
intensity of it gone down for
yeah.
you once you've been acknowledging it? And it's
Mhm.
just, you're like, once you're finally meeting yourself, just like when you're in the luteal phase, finally meeting yourself, it doesn't come out so sharp because it doesn't need to. It get like the intensity increases the less you listen to yourself.
Definitely.
Like there's a
Definitely.
direct correlate, like it's a complete one-to-one correlation on like the less you listen, the more like you become because your body is like crying out for you to pay attention. Like,
And I
please
think,
help me.
yes, and I think of it as being hungry. That first little hunger pain, you're like, oh, I could eat. And then an hour later, it's like, put food in my belly now. If you wait another hour, everybody's getting cussed out. Like, I don't want to talk to you. I'm staring out the car window until you find food to put directly into my mouth. Like, I have ignored this signal from my body for 2 hours, and it's time to eat or someone will die.
And it's not going to be me because
It is not gonna be me.
I'm so amped up internally. I will
I will
fend
chew
off
your
any
arm
attack that
off, yes,
happens.
in order to feed myself. That is the luteal phase. When you don't listen to her, she just gets bigger and angrier and hairier, and anyone can get it. And yeah, and it's just again, it's going to lead you to an autoimmune disorder or some type of physical ailment that now you're going to have to treat, and it's going to feel 10 times bigger. And you just listen to your body, and you can't listen to her if you're not slowing down enough and paying attention and being super like inquisitive. Like being your own cycle scientist is what we talk about all the time. It's like, what does this mean? What does this mean that day 24 I want to leave my husband every month, but on day 14 we're planning date nights? What does this mean? Like what's going on? And just digging deeper. And I think that's what kind of led me on my journey, was like,
Yeah.
I'm noticing this trend, but I only noticed it because I was tracking.
Yes, and I would say inquiry is it like it
Oh,
just Anna and I happen to just both come from like really cool educational backgrounds, families big into education. And so it's like always been like I'm always been like the why person. And this kind of self-inquiry is the only way to lead you to really understanding that information because our business will as we keep growing and changing like we'll keep growing and changing things but there's all this what they call clinical ranges of normal when you start to get your
mm,
hormones tested. So they have all these ranges of like, oh, you should be healthy enough if you fall within this range. Well, let's say your range of normal, you were at the highest end of that clinical range and now you're at the lowest end of that clinical range. That's not good for your body even if it
yeah,
is normal.
normal.
So this lack of understanding and of this bio individuality is part of the biggest issue that women specifically are facing in perimenopause, because for the last 50 years, they're like, oh, birth control. They've started to do more. Like now, the second highest group of people getting prescribed birth control are women like at the very end of perimenopause into
Hmm.
menopause as a cheap hormone HRT, as cheap hormone replacement therapy. So they're not
Yes.
even doing the right shit. They're just prescribing them birth control.
Yes.
And so
Y'all.
because they're like, you have pimples, have some birth control. Your boobs hurt, have some birth control. You don't like anyone, have some birth control. You don't want to go to school, have some birth control. Like because of that, you have to be curious and you have to start that inquiry on yourself, because we can't rely on this external
Mm-mm.
system because it just keeps giving us fucking birth control.
And can we change the term birth control to chemical castration and see how that comes out of your mouth?
Ooh.
Pimples, chemical castration. Depression, chemical castration. Change it to that and see how you feel. Hmm.
I have the chills in a yucky way. Like, oh,
Right?
that's so gross. Yeah. No, no way.
Yeah. And we're wondering why we have brittle bones and lack of libido and hair falling out and all these other things that are sprouting up in our 40s. And it's because we did not allow the estrogen to course through our body in the way that it was intended to in healthy females.
Quantities.
Yes. And there are
We could,
consequences. There are
there,
consequences. You get to go on that beach vacation and not be bleeding, but there are consequences in 20
yeah,
years. But
yeah.
y'all, I was just on a beach vacation and I was bleeding along with seven other women we all synced up. Ta-da. And we know it didn't bother anybody. There was a girl walking out to take a selfie on the beach and I was like, "Hey, do you have a tampon in?" And she was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I can see the string, just tuck it in." She tucked it in, took her selfie, everything was fine. You can be at the beach and be bleeding. You can.
Yep, you can.
You don't need
We can be
a
anywhere. We
magical
can be
pill.
anywhere.
Yes, we can be anywhere. We'd like to be on the couch or in bed, but it's not going to ruin your vacation if you are prepared. And you're only
And if you're
prepared
taking
if you're
care of yourself,
tracking.
if you're taking care of, we're gonna sound like a broken record a lot, but thing number one is track your damn cycle, people. Everyone, track your damn cycle.
Yes.
Track your cycle. Track your cycle. Yes, you have to know what works for you. It's just like I found out a couple years ago, I can't eat gluten from Made in America. When I eat gluten, I get bloated 6 inches from, it doesn't matter. It's not about the quantity. I could have one cookie or a loaf of bread and I get bloated out to here because it doesn't work for my body. So it doesn't matter if a doctor told me that it was really healthy to eat gluten. It doesn't work for my body.
Mm-mm.
So we have to stop doing, and I know it's going to be like, oh, Alyx, that's so complicated. That's so much work. I don't know what to do. We'll just help you do it one step at a time, but you have to understand your own health on an individual level, or perimenopause is going to be fucking
It is.
disastrous.
It is. And we were made to believe that our medical practitioners are like next to God. And I took my daughter into like her 3-year-old, 4-year-old checkup. I think she was 4. And she had really bad eczema when I was breastfeeding her. But when I stopped eating gluten, her eczema went away. She had allergy testing. She's not allergic to gluten. So fast forward 4 years, we're at her checkup and I'm talking to her doctor and I was like, well, we limit or, we've cut out gluten for her because we noticed that it makes her itchy. And her pediatrician looked at me like I said, we punch her in the mouth when she says she's hungry. Like he said, you can't cut out a whole food group for her. She's developing. And I said, well, it's causing eczema. He's like, well, I can give you a cortisone cream for that. I said, he said, it's fine for you and your husband because y'all are done growing, but she needs gluten. And I said, it's causing her eczema. You know, the in the elbow bend and behind the knee, and she's up at night bleeding and cracked skin because she's eating too much gluten. I and he was adamant that I don't cut out gluten. And
Doing on the outside of her body, what the fuck is it doing on the inside of her body? If it is show,
yes,
your skin is
because
the
your
last
skin is
thing
the
to have a
last.
reaction.
Yes.
So if it is causing her bleeding and cracking on the outside of her skin, what the fuck is going on inside of her little body?
Imagine,
Not
yes, what
good.
it's No, not good. And so needless to say, we are not back at that pediatrician. I trusted my gut, but had I been a younger mom, I would have been like, oh gosh, I've been depriving my child. Let's just take this cortisone cream that's bleaching her skin and doing who knows what else to her in the long term, just so she can have something that's inflaming her body.
When you see all the pieces stack up, it's why you have to kind of take some of this into your own hands, but
You
you don't have to do
do.
it by yourself, right?
Mm-mm.
We've got a ton of really great content. That's what we're here for, so you don't have to feel all alone in this. And so just hang out. Just come hang out with us.
Hang
Come
out
hang
with
out.
us. We
We'll get it
got
together
you.
with you. We'll get it
And if
together.
we don't know exactly, we will look it up. We will find somebody who does because all of our people are in this space and are living and breathing this stuff. And
All
our
of our friends talk
goal,
about periods, so you can't weird us out. Just like
no,
send us a
no
DM.
TMI. There's no
Send us a
TMI.
DM.
T describe your diarrhea to us. We will not be grossed out. Mm-mm.
I heard someone describe TMI as tell me immediately, and I've never resonated with something more in my entire life. I was like, TMI? Yes, tell me
Yes.
immediately.
Yes. Okay. I'm reclaiming that. And
Tell me immediately.
reclaiming. That's what we're doing. We are reclaiming. This is not new stuff. We are not sitting here saying that the A team, we are the poster children for this new innovative way to care for yourself. We are reclaiming what our matriarchal ancestors and probably the patriarchal ones knew too because they were falling in line and perpetuating our species. So they were listening to these women and these women knew what to do with their bodies.
I'll drop my final tidbit for today as a
Okay.
book. It was called Nurses, Witches, and Midwives, and it talked
Ooh.
about how like throughout the history as they kept like subjugating women, like the women's like they kept shifting their magic into kind of these like different fields. So like women who were herbalists like became nurses or became doulas, and like then like they just kept kind of having to go
Morphic.
over
Yeah.
underground underground. But like that is why the American Medical Association, it was almost all male doctors that got midwifery essentially illegal for a lot of modern American history,
Wow.
because they started doing the like we're going to knock her out with like high rates of anesthesia, like and anesthesia during
Hmm.
pregnancy, and like essentially just push the baby out of her without her. Those are all practices started by after the American Medical Association had a collective effort to chase midwives out and to say that they were dangerous, unpracticed, unstudied,
Wow.
because it was almost entirely women. And like the lineage is like those are the women that used to be like witches, right? And
Oh my
the
gosh.
herbalists before, and just like how it all kind of kept going underground and underground and
Oh,
underground.
I love it. I'm a
And it's
witch?
like
No, I'm a
short. It's like
nurse.
I'm a nurse, I'm a midwife,
I'm a
I'm a
midwife.
doula.
I'm an herbalist. Yeah. I'm an herbalist? No, I'm a nurse. I'm a
I'm a nurse.
nurse.
But yeah, like that's part of that history, right? Is like women have always been the womb and wisdom keepers, and
Yeah.
your body will lead you right back to that of
Hmm.
knowing what to do. The more you listen, the more you step into it. It will tell you. You'll get your intuition will turn back. It's still there, but it'll turn back on in a more intense way.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
we have a chance to come back to ourselves. It's not too late, y'all. It's not too
We
late.
do.
We can come home.
We can. And I'm coming home now in my perimenopause. I got support. I was all like, I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to figure this out. And I was just going further and further down this slippery slope and finally reached out. And I can't wait to tell you guys all about this journey that I'm on healing my hormones and my autoimmune and just returning to self in this new chapter of pre-cronehood. We got to find a good name. Auntiehood, auntiedom. I don't know.
Yeah. What's your one tip for the week? So like something someone could look up, or any
Oh,
tool or resource.
any tool or resource. Um, I, I know I sound like a broken record. I just keep going back to track and pay attention. Pay attention. Like pee when it's time to, when as soon as you first feel like you have to pee, go pee. As soon as you feel like you're hungry, get
Eat some
something
food.
in your body. If when you're tired, lay down and go to sleep. Like honoring the signals from your body are going to make all the other signals super clear, and that dial is going to turn and things are going to start making sense once you start looking, paying attention and listening. So pay
I
attention.
love that. Yeah, because we've been trained to really turn like in school, you can only there's only certain times to go to the bathroom. You're thirsty, there's only certain times you can get a drink of water, right? Like from the very beginning, when we start to teach our kids to be disconnected from what their body needs, and it has drastic impacts on us as adults.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love that tip. So everyone pay attention, just a little bit more attention to yourself this week. You deserve it.
Absolutely.
You're loving attention, not your ouchy attention. You deserve more of your
Yes.
own loving attention, not your
Yes.
critical attention. So have fun pouring generous, loving care on yourself this week, and we'll see y'all next time.